Hi, and welcome to chapter 6 of the fanfiction Glitch in the System. This is all written and narrated by my lady Samantha. I don't know why I said it like that, but enjoy. As Cat Noir entered his window as silently as possible, he detransformed. "Claws in," he chanted softly, being wary of who could be listening in. A tired-looking Kwame was pushed out from his ring, and Adrian was beyond excited. Finally, he had shared his identity with his lady, and now there was a chance that she could fall for him. Adrian danced around his room ecstatically as he hummed happily. Plague noticed how happy Adrian was and smiled. Never had he seen Adrian this happy before. However, it was then that Plague remembered Ladybug's reaction. He frowned. He hoped that she wouldn't crush his kid. He knew Adrian already had so much disappointment in his life. He didn't want him to have even more. "Oh, Plague!" Adrian yelped excitedly. "I will finally get Ladybug's love. After all, I am charming both in and out of costume." Adrian squeaked confidently. Plague sighed. His face was reeking with concern. "Kid, just don't get your hopes up, alright?" Adrian turned to face the small cat. "Oh, but I am super charming. She can't resist me," Adrian said cockily. Plague rolled his eyes as he realized there was nothing he could say to calm down his holder. Back in Marinette's bedroom, a tired-looking ladybug threw herself clumsily down the ladder as she collapsed onto her bed, chanting, "Spots up!" Pink magic swarmed around the tired girl as she sighed into her pillow. Marinette was still unsure on what to do. She knew that she left Adrian, but also knew that she didn't like Cat Noir. Was she in love with Adrian for all the wrong reasons? She frowned. Why did they have to be the same? She wondered as they flopped her body around effortlessly. Tiki floated in front of Marinette.
"Why don't you go confide in Alia? I'm sure she could help you,"
Tiki squeaked. Marinette sighed again.
"Alia already knows that I'm Ladybug. It would be too risky if she also knew who Cat was,"
Marinette remarked sadly. Of course she knew that Alia would have many things to say, possibly even helpful things. She wished to confide in her best friend, but the dangers scared her. Marinette began to wonder if she was selfish. After all, she knew the dangers and decided she needed to know that Adrian and Cat Noir were the same. Did she only wish to remember because it was Adrian? Her Adrian, the sweet, awkward, and kind-hearted model who also happens to be her die-hard crush. It was then that Marinette had realized how unfair she had been towards Cat. She remembered how awfully she'd been treating him recently, and even recalled how she threw him into the garbage when he hadn't really done anything wrong. And now she also remembered saying to Adrian that useless things belong in the trash. Her heart panged with guilt. She just couldn't believe how awful she'd been, and only to find out it was Adrian all along. She'd been rejecting Adrian and treating him horribly. How on earth could she face him now? Marinette couldn't handle it anymore and began to cry. Tears overflowing her eyes as they rapidly fell down her cheek. How could she have been so mean to him? All he ever did was care for her and try his best, and she had been so cruel. She felt a headache coming along, and so she took a cup of water and drank it sparingly. Tiki frowned. She hated seeing Marinette so upset, but wasn't sure if there was anything she could do.
"Marinette, are you going to be alright?"
she said sadly. Marinette spun to face Tiki as she thought of what to say. She'd hated being such a depressing and draining person, and hated being a burden to her small friend, but she really needed someone.
Tiki, I've been so awful to Cat Noir, to Adrian,
she cried out. The small ladybug smiled sadly.
Oh, Marinette, I'm sure he knows that you didn't mean it,
Tiki suggested in desperation of comforting her friend. Marinette doubted everything.
No, if he finds out who I am, then he'll hate me for sure.
Marinette barked coldly as more tears fell. It was becoming clear that Marinette no longer had any hope. Tiki was unsure how to help.
I don't think Adrian could ever hate you, Marinette. He loves you way too much for that,
Tiki said.
That's the point, Tiki. He loves me, and I only love half of who he is, and that's so selfish and wrong of me.
Said Marinette as more tears streamed from her blue eyes. Tiki gasped as a thought emerged.
So then, why don't you get closer with Kat? So then you can truly get to know him, all of him.
Marinette paused.
I suppose you're right, Tiki. Oh shoot, I'm going to be late for school and I haven't even slept,
shouted Marinette as she rushed around to get ready. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this part, and I apologize that my voices aren't sounding as good. Well, I don't think they are, because my throat is actually... Sometimes my throat gets really bad, so the next few parts might be a bit iffy, but I'll try my best. Anyways, goodbye!